20,825 days, as far as I can tell, is the lifespan of this avatar. Whereas I've been here for 430 days. We always count in days because it's the most accurate, because these calendrical systems are all over the place. But anyway, let me explain this. If we go back to that biblical quote, "I of myself can do nothing." Think about that. Look at a newborn baby. Unless, of course, you believe you are these physical avatars. That's up to you. But they're just a vehicle to operate in this reality. And as the song Hotel California says, you can check out any time you like, but you can never leave. And as my predecessor, James Brockhurst, has explained on video, it refers to two, the spirit and the physical body. What can check out is the soul. By mutual agreement with another soul who will walk in and take over the avatar. It's a bit like when you buy a second-hand car or you buy a new home, because these physical bodies, these avatars, are your home of your soul to carry you about. And just like when you move into a new home, there will be traces of the previous owners, or the previous occupants, should we say. And just like cars, they have all sorts of faults and things. In the case of the avatar, in this particular case of this particular avatar, it has come with certain addictions. When you walk in, it's no questions asked, you just fill the vacancy, as it were. I've done this many, many times. Think of it like a friendly gatekeeper, where one soul may be going through the sort of the death throes on the battlefield or whatever, or something horrific, or just no longer wants to be in this material reality, which I can understand in the outside world. So another soul will come in. So physically, the avatar looks the same, but the being inside is very different. So I'll get to the point here that I wish to make. This avatar comes with certain addictions. So this is to be reviewed. When Julia invited me here, I said, I have no income. I don't get any outside financial help as such, except through donations. Wretched fly. And of course, it then comes down to two things. I can't rely on anybody else to support me. And there's also Buddy to consider. He needs feeding as well, and is partly my responsibility as a community dog. He doesn't like being in the teepee with me. But anyway, this avatar comes with certain addictions: coffee, tobacco, and cannabis, and a liking for things like porridge, pain au chocolat, the little vices. So ultimately, it's a case of cut it out or grow it here. But during this transition period, and I've spoken to Julia trying to get a rough costing, so we're looking something in a region of about €60 a week, I believe. That's a very sort of rounded figure. I can't give you an accurate figure. I'd have to add everything up, and which would mean going into the outside world and checking on prices, and I don't feel inclined to go to the outside world. But and there's plenty to do here. But of course I don't expect something for nothing either. So what I can offer you, as well as these videos with practical tips and things, and drawing on experiences of life, I can offer you something very different, and that is a 100% watertight 1 or 2 card tarot card readings, which are guaranteed accurate. But put them to the test. Put this tarot card reading to the test and see for yourself how accurate it is. That's all I'm going to say. For this, and I'm doing this partly because I do need to generate some income into the community, and as I've said on the previous video, updates and appeal. There is so many things that can be done here, but we do not have the range of tools, specifically the basic carpentry tools like chisels, the marking gauge, the set square, the tenon saw, all these sort of things, screws, drill bits, a hand drill. Yes, these things can be manifested, and I can manufacture things, and I can adapt and reuse things. I'll be doing a few videos on little things like this. And also, now being able to germinate lemon and orange seeds. I did an experiment with 15 of them. 2 didn't germinate. 1, unfortunately, the shoots came off, became unattached from the seed. So that left 12 seeds. Well, that's 12 zodiac signs. There is no coincidences in this reality. So there's another batch of 54 now being germinated. The sky is the limit after all, and I go with safety in numbers. You can't look at a seed and know whether it's going to germinate. The only way is to either put it in the ground and let nature do it, or help it. In the case of orange, lemon and grape seeds, you can germinate them and start them off. There's plenty of other things I can be doing within this community. I'm basically an internal worker within this community. But of course then we have the having to interact with the outside world. But ironically, imagine one of these well-known names, when these billionaires or millionaires came onto this land. What value and what good would those billions do, even if they had the printed money in the hand and said, here you are? What good is it here? Absolutely none. It is only good for the purpose of, basically we're working with an inverse sinking ship, as it were. Every time there is a hole, a breach, that's where we're having to buy things in, which in turn everything will be addressed and looked at and replaced with what we can do here. But so this is an interim period, so yes, I am asking for donations to help out with things, and for my part I will do one step at a time, always. Be kind to these avatars. I mean, I don't know the background, I don't know the history of it. It's scant cellular memory, mostly emotional rather than detailed, but the rest of it is just pretty much a mystery. But it's the cellular memories that need to come back, or what the universe decides needs to come back, come through, and odd little bits come through every now and again, very disjointed. But maybe some of you don't believe in walk-ins, you've never seen one, you've never come across one. But those of you that are, you already know. That's why you're here. You've come in to take over an avatar and operate it in this reality. So it's just an appeal, really. So we can turn things around. I found the secret and I found the gold here. I'll come on to that more in another video. And a few other things. The answers are actually very, very simple. And yeah, I'll talk about that because this is going to go off on a tangent and become a much longer video. These take a long time to upload. Internet is another thing where there's no expense on my part as such, but obviously Julia has to pay for it, so it would be nice to contribute into things like that as well. So I'm going to put a link in the description, because all donations, or if you wish to have a reading, I leave all the administration side over to Julia. It's like, that's an alien world to me. I have no experience of that. So I've not even really, since I've been in paradise, I've never picked up a pen and written, and that's going to seem a strange thing to do. I find a lot of things strange, like what goes on in the outside world. It has no relevance. There's no negativity, no anxiety. The only thing here is a safety issue with the slopes of death, as I call them, because two have said and confirmed this, namely Murray, whose avatar is roughly about the same age as this one, and he's nearly had a fatal slip on the banks. And Eugene, who used to be here, who's in his 20s, he's also nearly died on these slopes. The clay, when it is heavy rain, can become very, very treacherous. It is not your friend. It becomes like ice. So you have to pick the times and the jobs. You've got to be kind to these avatars and think safety. These avatars are pretty resilient, but we don't take unnecessary risks with them. It's all an inside job, so with everything in this reality, listen to that internal gut feeling. That is your best guide. That is the spirit within your avatar that is trying to guide you. And this is also a reason why it's so important to do language lessons of the heart and deal with all these emotional issues. The opposite polarity of that, of course, is the system version of learning, which is just memorizing repeated narratives. And it can come into various extreme forms of religious worship, or going down the narrative of science or whatever. It's called cognitive dissonance. They're very extreme versions. Just gossip and hearsay. Same as all these wars. If you think about it, the pattern with everything is always the same. Most people get their information from the news. In the military, there is a chain of command with orders. Who actually in the military questions those orders? They just follow them out. They're just doing what they're told. And whether it be in a military theatre or whether it be in the outside world, it is just following bad scripts, not finding the truth, which is within oneself. It is all an inside job. Both the external world, the material world, and the metaphysical, and the interaction with these avatars and your true self that resides within them. So, just a reminder again, put it to the test. This is the thing with everything. Test it. If it's true, it will stand up to the test. If it is true, it will not be afraid to stand up to questions. So, my offer to you is, I can also do colour card readings, or I can do 1 or 2 card tarot card readings, which are very slightly different, and they are guaranteed 100% accurate. So my invitation to you is put it to the test. And, I don't know, $2 donation minimum or something. Every little helps, as it were, and it's all going into the community in one form or another. Yes, it can be argued, oh, you're just funding your addictions. You've got to be kind to these avatars. They take time to adjust. and to try and overload the avatar and not mentally prepare for these things. Trust me, these avatars will kick back. Addictions, what the body is used to, it will start throwing up all sorts of weird things. I had a very strange craving the other week, just as on a final note, for all things, a Mars bar. Now, had you set a Mars bar in front of me, first off, the plasticky sort of wrapper I would find off-putting, the chocolate in this heat I would find off-putting, and the sensation of the gooey, sickly, sugary caramel would be, it's just a body avatar to mind interpretation of the diet's changed. For example, coffee. This avatar was having 12 cups a day. It's now down to 2. It's been replaced with orange and orange juice, freshly squeezed, or lemonade, the lemons from within paradise itself. So there are changes underway. So the invitation is there, and thank you very much for listening, and I hope you are having a beautiful, beautiful day. If you're not having a beautiful, beautiful day, then that's the time to go inside oneself and maybe see things from a different perspective. Look for the positives. Stay neutral. Don't be swayed by the emotions, because the emotions, when they run away, is what causes the problems. And the conscious mind as well. I'll talk more about this on future videos as well. So I'm going to say love to you all. This is Dr. Juan Forfar signing off.